Dr. Nichelle Goulet, specialized in prenatal, postpartum, and pediatric chiropractic care, along with prenatal and postpartum fitness and rehab. We're going to review cesarean scar massage. During this, I want you to keep in mind that this is a great thing to be doing from 6 weeks on. I do have a video of what you can be doing prior to 6 weeks, but this is something that could be done 6 weeks out from your cesarean. And it is something that can also be done years and years out. It is never too late to be working on your scar. Scar tissue can be forming for up to 2 years, which means that we do want to have increased frequency in the beginning, and then you might teeter off a little bit as the years go on, but that you do want to be touching base with the scar throughout time to make sure that you have released all those adhesions and are allowing the body to function as optimally as it can. So when the body lays down scar tissue, essentially when there's an injury, the body is just wanting to heal as fast as it can and cover up an injury. So it's just laying down material fast. And as opposed to smooth like this, it's essentially all intertwined and yucky and gunky. So we essentially, when we do the massage, want to get rid of all the gunk so that it can be nice, smooth, gliding tissues. We're going to want to get into the superficial layer, which is more of that skin layer that you're seeing, and that's the part that's visual to you. But we also want to get into the next layer below, some more of the fascia and muscular layer, and then get a little bit deeper than that into more of the organ visceral layers. So that's going to be the uterus. The scar tissue can form onto a lot of different things, such as the bladder, even a little bit of the intestine, other ligaments in that region of the body. So we want to get into those deep layers to make sure that everything's free so that it's not affecting bladder health, sex, low back, pelvic pain, all those different things. We also want to get into that muscular region to make sure that our muscles can function as optimally as possible. They're not being restricted from scar tissue. And then that skin layer we want to make sure we get into so the skin is gliding over the other layers smoothly. Commonly women will get what they call a shelf, where they stand up and their belly goes over their cesarean scar and looks like a shelf, like the scar is a shelf to their belly. And they don't like the appearance of that. And a lot of that time is because the scar is adhesed and pulled in. So if we do scar massage, we not only can reduce pain that could potentially occur in the future from scarring, but also reduce that shelving appearance as well. Just to clarify, when we get into that middle layer, muscular layer, most cesareans do not cut directly through the muscle, which is a misconception. But the scar tissue, because it can go all different places, can adhere and is likely to adhere that muscle layer. And so we just want to free all that up. So in the demo video that I have after this, it's going to show a Sharpie to demonstrate the scar because it's going to be a little bit higher up, and that's just for video demonstration. So most people will be like, that's not the exact spot. It's right at pubic line, but just for video's sake, I'm going slightly above. Okay, so we'll have you start in a laying down position and make sure that you're 6 weeks or more when you're doing this scar massage, just to make sure the scarring is healed. And it is a good idea to be checked by your OB or midwife and see if your body's ready to tolerate this next step in scar massage. I'll have you start with the superficial layer. So we're always going to go a little lighter, and as time goes on, you can progress to a little deeper, and we can get into each different layer system and work things out. So we have a couple different ways in which we can massage. We can do circular motions like this. We can do tugging motions, pulling up, pushing down, going to the side. We can do where we pull up and then tug. And then we also have skin rolling. So to start, if you feel comfortable going over the scar to begin with, you're more than welcome to. But we're always going to want to go over, under, and over the scar when we're doing scar massage, because the scarring at the skin level is not the only spot where scar tissue is. That's what you're seeing on the skin level appearance. So we do want to go all around the region. Find and note where you're tender in the beginning so you can see where your progress is at. Usually people are tightest. Let's say the surgeon was over here, standing on this side, where they're pulling, and then they finish their stitching. It's typically the most tight region for most people. So keep in mind there's going to be one side and different regions that are more tender than others. If you watch my other video that's scar care after cesarean prior to 6 weeks, you'll see that we can do some gentle rubbing of the abdominal wall. You can come in and do different circles throughout the abdominal wall, on the obliques, on the rectus abdominis, and I do have other videos on how to massage the abdominal wall if you're ready for that at this point in time as well. So for directly over the scar, I'd like you to start with some circles around. And this right now is very superficial skin layer. And then I'd like you to go over the scar with those light circles and spend as much time as you need to. If you find a really tender spot, you can stop there and spend a little bit more time. So then you can go a little deeper if you feel comfortable with that circular motion. And then other movement I like is the pulling south to north on the scar, pushing south to north, and you can go below the scar and do the pulling as well. So below and pulling south to north. And then you can do east to west. So above the scar, below the scar, anywhere surrounding it. And I also like the pulling up of the skin and then doing the tugging as well. A great one for if you have the scar pulling in and you're noticing your belly is going over and that scar is becoming a shelf is picking up over the scar. And then picking up and doing some skin rolling. And if you're early after your cesarean or this is the first time you've massaged it, that might seem a little scary. So it's okay to wait for some of these movements until later on. You don't have to rush into anything. You might have some tenderness and some discomfort, but none of these movements should be causing a ton of pain. You can have discomfort, but again, not a lot of pain. I recommend that you do this daily. I recommend at night when you're laying down in bed for roughly 2 to 5 minutes, focusing on the abdominal wall and over the scar and around the scar. But as time goes on and you're noticing less restrictions, less pain, you can space that out to every couple days, every couple weeks. And just a reminder that scar tissue can form for up to 2 years. So making sure that you're touching base on this region of your body after you've had your belly birth.